Hey, 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 welcome back. Welcome back to the Scorpio channel. My name is Laura. If you're new to my channel, I'm going to do a general message for you. Know that energy is fluid, roles can be reversed. Interpret the message as it best resonates with you. Now, I decided to do a little coaching series. I'm not going to go through all the healing exercises such as the healing modalities that we do within coaching, such as breath work, tapping, and a lot of others. And we also do cognitive therapy exercises. You get a lot of PDFs that I do with you to help you integrate your spiritual blockages. But every coaching starts off with a channel, and then we jump into the oracle. So I had picked the idea of a spiritual war within relationships, how what's happening within is a reflection of what's going on outside, and outside is a reflection of what's going on inside, right? We've all heard as above is below, as within is without, meaning that your inner battles that people experience, such as love, fear, trauma, ego, and healing, they all show up in the same space. Many spiritual traditions, not just Christian, but every spiritual tradition really tells us that it's about recognizing that close relationships tend to expose the deepest parts of ourselves, the parts that still need healing, right? How would we know what we needed healing? How would we know? How would we even volunteer to heal the things that we needed to heal, right? Healing doesn't feel good because it means that we need to do different things. And who wants to be different when you get comfortable? Not a lot of people, right? So relationships are mirrors. Now, that doesn't mean that you are attracting a person into your life that is exactly like you. What it means is it's mirroring your spiritual blockages. However, many times you do attract a person that has gone through the same exact experience just in their house, and they feel the same way that you do. However, the way that they deal with that wound is different. And that's why it triggers us, because we know. And so understand that everything that comes to us in the universe is a vehicle for our learning. Otherwise, we wouldn't learn. And the whole purpose of being in the physical realm and with a physical body is to learn. That's why you always get the test first and the lesson later. And you really have to be present and in the moment and not be reflecting from past trauma. A lot of us reflect on past trauma because we've been conditioned to do so. And part of that is because collectively, what we're taught collectively, then what we're taught when we're growing up in school. So we're actually grown away from our true self, because when you work that left brain a lot, that logical analytical mind, and you work it to the point, it becomes very strategic. Intuitiveness is not strategic. It just is. It means that we're open to receiving. If I'm strategic, I'm kind of in a survival perspective because I'm strategic because I want something. So my ego is running it. And you cannot be spiritual if you're in that ego state of mind. You just can't be. Can't be in two places at one time. So, and since we do relationships on this channel, I felt like this would be the best topic. So we are going to look at within the oracle like we always do. It's just I like to give a little bit of spiritual information to help you discern when you're dealing with somebody that is a soulmate, or if they're a karmic mate, how to avoid that karma. If there's many different realities that play it at one time, it doesn't matter whether the person's toxic or not, you can still avoid the karmic consequences. Again, somebody's going to learn though. It's either going to be you or it's going to be the person that you're connected to. You want it to be the other person because you already can see, you already have discernment, right? So as I was saying, relationships act like mirrors. So when you get close to someone, they often reflect, again, the parts of you to yourself that are good, but that are also wounded. And the irony is when you're attracted to a narcissist, they only see the good. And they're looking at you through that lens and saying, oh, what can I utilize that for? Now, do they think that they have feelings? Yes, they do think that they have feelings. That's why you're like, well, I felt like it was so real. Well, past life karmic mates doesn't mean that there's no love. There is love. It's just there's so much wounding that the psychological and the emotional aspects of that wound continue to replay within the connection. So the whole point is you want to get off that crazy merry-go-round. That loop is what I call that crazy merry-go-round. It's like, here we go again. Here we go again. And it's that wound that makes you feel a certain way about yourself. So for an example, old abandonment old abandonment wounds may show up as fear, as being left, right? Past betrayal shows up as distrust. Childhood criticism shows up as defensiveness. Now, it can feel like a battle because you're not just dealing with the other person, you're dealing with your own inner pain. Your own shit has been activated. So the battle is often between the ego and the heart. In many spiritual teachings, so again, it's a universal, it's not one religion, a universal we're talking about here. In many teachings, the inner child conflicts is described as a struggle between ego, fear, pride, control, defensiveness, and the heart and the spirit. So love, compassion, humility, and truth. So when conflict happens in relationships, the ego wants to win, prove a point, and protect itself. But the spirit often pushes towards understanding, forgiveness, and vulnerability and growth. So believe it or not, when you are like dealing with a person that wants to win and wants to prove and wants to, again, you want to come to a place of surrender. You want to come to a place of spiritual equilibrium. And that means we surrender and we move into understanding, forgiveness, vulnerability, and growth. It doesn't mean that you may like it, but if you deal with it, that tension winds up dissipating because, hey, you're not creating any tension. Healing happens when triggers become teachers, okay? That when you understand that. So instead of seeing the relationship conflict as only damaged, many healing paths view as information, right? So a trigger can reveal unresolved wounds, unmet needs, patterns you learned in early life that need to be reconditioned. I mean, this is going to help you move into the best aspect of yourself. This is going to be able to make you make money, attract things that you want. This is why you want to do this work. Okay. And of course, we always do the oracle reading, like I said, but the channel is important for you to be able to discern. Otherwise, if you can't discern, then you're going to wind up back in the same loop because it's like, well, that person triggers you, you react, and you wind up back playing the same roles. So partners unknowingly recreate patterns. It's not like people deliberately do this. Pursuers versus withdrawers, critics versus defenders, rescuers with the victim, and that's the one that we always see with the narcissist, by the way. The rescuer, you're the rescuer. And that's because growing up in an environment where someone needed saving. So I know, like I grew up, for personal experience, I grew up with a dad that needed saving. So, like again, attracting men that are not emotionally intelligent or is my thing because I'm extremely emotionally intelligent. So you may find that, and that's really frustrating. You know why? Because it will make you feel as if you never get the love that you need. And so, but the answer isn't to change that person or to realize that you're going to get someone different. It's to change yourself. Because if you grew up that way, it means that you were starved. And if you were starved, of course, you're going to look for that in your connections. And Spirit says, remember, that means that you think you need it. And to need it, I need it. And instead of I want it is I don't need it, but I want it. It's much different. I'm not flipped out if I don't get it because, there's a kind of surety of I want it. It's already happened, you see? instead of I need it. That fear is what pushes away. And that is what a karmic mate usually feels, that fear. So again, no one purposely does what they do in the beginning. I feel like it starts as a trigger. And then do people become aware of what they do? Yes, they do become aware of what they do because now the ego has taken control. So again, if the patterns stay unconscious, the relationship becomes a battlefield. And that's what you see when you're dealing with an avoidant. So we don't deal with the avoidant. As soon as you see that that person's an avoidant, detach, because don't think that they don't have feelings for you. They have feelings for you. They don't want to show those feelings for you. But if you don't need them to show the feelings for you, well, then it's amazing how they can show the feelings for you because there's no expectation. With a karmic mate, you have to deal with it like completely like I surrender to the relationship. It doesn't mean I give in, but it means I don't fight you. You want to come, you come. You want to go, you go. But understand, I'm going to set my boundaries and then I'm going to act a certain way too. And I disconnect emotionally, and that's where most people on the channel have a problem, is what I noticed. So that's why we're doing this, so that you can integrate the spiritual lesson, stop ruminating, because now the person's like, I don't have to do anything, because they know that they have you, because you're stuck ruminating and there's already an energetic connection. So the person can feel when you're around, same way you can feel when they're around, which is why they disconnect a lot, because it's like, oh, they know this on a spiritual level. That's why it's spiritual warfare. It's like, I know what you're doing. You may not be telling me, but I know what you're doing intuitively. So again, the whole point is to look.
Financial District Local Playbook sent a long notification.
Sorry. That's not supposed to do that. This phone does whatever the hell it wants when it wants. It's really irritating. Anyway, so it's all about, again, being conscious so that you can ground the spiritual lesson and all for growth. Again, many people discover the hardest fights are inside themselves. And this is what keeps us ruminating. So letting go of control. How does one let go of control?
Well, sorry, I don't understand.
I wasn't talking to you.
Okay.
So annoying. This is off. It's like, and then when you ask it a question, it doesn't want to answer you, or it gives you the wrong fucking answer. It's like, like having a bad boyfriend, but how to surrender is to get into the moment and to focus on a passion. And to cut your energy off. A lot of people don't know how to cut their energy off. They're like, I can't cut my energy off. It's like, I literally can't do it. And that's anxiety. That person is, so it's not that you can't, it's that you're ruminating and then there's anxiety on top of it. So there's a block on top of a block. So you have to breathe and get in the moment, believe it or not. And then that exercise should be, I see 5 things in my environment. I see, and you look around. For me, it would be, I see a light, I see a Buddha head, I see an Egyptian pyramid, I see a gong, I see Jesus's face. I don't know if that was 5, but you get the drift of it. Then you say, I can hear 4 things. I really can't hear 4 things, but I hear like a buzzing in my ear. I hear a car outside. I hear my dogs outside. You get the drift. Then I smell 3 things. And then I can taste 1 thing. And that could mean like I'm imagining pancakes and I can taste them in my mouth. You know what I mean? It's like you go through every single center, because that disrupts that rumination. It disrupts it. It's like, because your brain can't be in 2 places at one time, and it stops that chatter. But then it's to focus on a passion, because that person represents passion. That person represents love. again, that's why you're like, because we as spiritual beings, the fuel is love. Why? Because God is love. God is unconditional love. It's what gives us life. It's prana, it's chi, it's spirit, because God's ubiquitous. It's omnipresent, omnipotent, and omniscience. So it's what makes us supernatural. So we want that. We automatically are drawn towards it. We don't know why. Again, with certain people, they just feel like it. So again, it's very powerful energy, and it's energy to help you awaken what needs to be healed. So again, letting go of control, learning to trust, choosing vulnerability. But when I say choosing vulnerability, that does not mean I'm letting the person back in my life. What it means is I'm authentic. I'm not afraid to be, vulnerable and show who I really am. And you may not like it, but bottom line is, I force you to respect me, because love without respect is nothing. And you get treated like crap. So again, and then what happens is you have to focus also on forgiving past hurts. When inner healing happens, the relationship dynamics just change. Understand, it doesn't mean you'll be like connect to someone and say, I can't change. They don't listen to me. They run from me. They do this. They do that. They do the other. Well, that's a person that's running not from you. They're running from themselves, because love makes a person go deep inside of themselves. It makes them question life. It makes them question what they know. And that has to happen, because Spirit says life happens also and people get wounded. And they're not supposed to stay in that perception of I'm a victim, I'm hurt, that it doesn't feel good. And then the addictive behavior that comes from that, the negative behavior that takes us out of alignment with our true selves, our higher selves. And then all of a sudden we begin to hate ourselves, which is why then the ego needs to be reassured continuously, because it's like the spirit knows already what it knows. It's like when you know something, you walk into a room and when your sister or your brother lies. It's like I know it. How do you know? Because they get that look on that fucking face. That's why. Or because they talk too much, or they do something to give themselves away that triggers my intuition. I just know it. The spirit knows. That's a language. It's called claircognizance. We all have it. And that we need for discernment. But if you're continually around a person that gaslights, well, then we can see. So love exposes what still needs to be healing, which is the moral to the story. So healthy relationships don't mean that there's no conflict. They mean that both people are willing to grow, reflect, take responsibility, heal individually as well as together. And in the sense of relationships that can become a spiritual path, not just like a partnership. That's what relationships are supposed to do. Actually, Mary Magdalene taught that within the scripture, but again, dogmatic practice took it out. They said, oh, we don't need that. Women are nothing. Let's just take that out. Anyway, that's something for another topic. So relationships don't just bring love into your life. They bring everything that blocks love to the surface so it can be healed. However, getting back to being drawn to partners who activate our deepest wounds, again, this happens because the mind and the heart are trying to resolve unfinished emotional experiences. So again, if you were abandoned, if you were again victimized, whatever the blockage is, the key is to go home after you deal with that person that brings up all this shit and write it down in a journal. And then try to go back and say, is this a repetition of attachment patterns? And in the spiritual language, is this a karmic pattern, which is the same thing? And then you have to say, well, it feels painful, but the deeper purpose is, do I need to learn boundaries? Do I need to learn self-worth? Do I need to learn to heal abandonment? Do I need um, to to heal what I rejected? Learning how to love without losing yourself, so that the trigger is often pointing to something inside that still needs healing. That's the moral of this little tidbit of information. Again, so what are you going to do when you deal with it? You're going to surrender, and you're going to focus on something else, and you're going to write down when you get triggered in your journal so that you can reframe those things, because you'll see also if it's a toxic relationship. And if it's a toxic relationship where someone's manipulating you, gaslighting you, they're repeatedly disrespecting you, you have to walk away. It's, again, because that is harm. And you and understand, one person always doing the emotional work in toxic dynamic is really the spiritual battle, because you're continuously doing it and you're not really getting anywhere. And then understand too, you're susceptible for spiritual attack. So when people talk about spiritual attack in relationships, they mean different things depending on their beliefs. So often it just refers to feeling like something is constantly trying to divide, distort, or destroy the connection. So you become susceptible to that. And there are generational curses that we are born into if there's fragmentation and you haven't healed it. So unresolved trauma, like, is the, again, the karma that you inherit, which would be fear of intimacy, insecurity, jealousy, pride, or ego defenses. And it's to understand if you didn't get it. So from the spiritual perspective, many traditions just say real battle is learning to move from fear to trust, control to surrender, ego to humility, resentment to forgiveness. So remember those things, because the real healing happens inside of you. One of the biggest shifts that people experience is realizing you cannot control another person's healing, only your own. So now we're going to jump into the oracle reading. And like I said, I pride myself on being a healer, but doing the oracle readings is not really enough a lot of times for people, because they don't really understand why everything's happening the way that it is. So whether you resonate with the oracle reading or not, you're going to get some education. Even if you're not in a toxic relationship, but your friend is in a toxic relationship, you'll be able to recognize it. You'll be able to shapeshift that energy. And that's the thing. I want you to see how powerful you are. I want you to see that you can make a karmic person that has the biggest ego surrender to their needs. That is a perspective. Understand there's many perspectives, there's many realities. Spirit says you don't always have to be on the losing end of that, which a lot of times is what we feel, to be honest with you. Like, why am I the one that always is giving or doing, or that I get people that won't forgive, right? Why is that? So Spirit is saying we're just going to look at a bunch of different cards right now from different decks. I got a new wound deck. I'm really excited. We're going to use it today as well. And the reason why I pulled from a bunch of different decks is because I want to look at the many different perspectives of you. There's many different realities that play out at one time, like I said. All right. I know it's crazy. Now I like to read them separate, and then I like to put them all together. That's a book. All right. And some of these cards are going to be what you need to do to heal. And some of these cards are just going to be what's happening, what you need to look out for. And then we look at the relationship. I like to do it a little separate, just because sometimes a person bleeds into even this portion of your reading, just because if they're obsessive, if you cut your energy off, and it's one of those soulmate, like toxic, karmic connections, then they're going to bleed in just the same way as if you had a toxic parent that was thinking about you all the time. Their energy becomes like a coating over your coating. That's why we say energy is fluid. Roles could be reversed. Sometimes it's not even your reading. Like, what the fuck? And it's somebody else's. So we see patience here. We see magical space clearing time. We see the wound of fear of being perceived, and then blocked heart chakra, inner prosecutor, orphan ache. That's with the new deck. And then we see count your blessings, pride, loneliness, obscurity, and cycle of life. Manipulation, conformity, and freedom. Well, if that ain't like a thing, well, I feel like there's a lot going on here. First of all, I feel like it's the end of a cycle for you. It's again, and that cycle is where it's like, I'm not getting enough. It's too little. There's not enough, and I'm tired of it not being enough. Maybe that's financially, that's emotionally, that's in other areas. But definitely we know emotionally, because again, there's loneliness and there's a sense of, you're connected to someone that is prideful. And also you could be a little bit prideful, Spirit saying, but not when it comes to relationship, when it comes to being perceived. Why that's important right now? Because you're trying to create something, and it's going to take patience. And so whenever we're on that path to trying to create something, and so you might be in a holistic community where you do something that the other family members don't really understand what you do. So already they think that you're a little odd, or friends. Being in the holistic community, it's a spiritual walk. So if you're a holistic health coach, if you're a coach, if you're a speaker, if you're even an influencer of any sort, it's a different path. So again, being perceived, and that tends to take a long time. And there's consistent pressure for you to conform. But Spirit's saying, that your freedom really comes in the fact of being true to yourself. Where Spirit says the key really is to count your blessings and know that the magical clearing time is that certain things need to leave out of your life. It's like, and they're just going to go, because as you raise your vibration, you're becoming more spiritual. And when you become more spiritual, what the hell does that mean? Well, when you're filled yourself with love and light, and you're becoming that energy, there's only so much time, energy, focus, and money that you have, and you're going to put it towards those things that are not giving you lack, not making you feel like obscure. They're making me feel small. You don't give me enough. And when you don't give me enough, you make me feel not wanted, not cared about. Again, anything that makes me feel small, it's the end of, because again, I feel like the orphan ache is kind of rooted in the home. So it doesn't mean all the time were you an orphan, but you could have felt like an orphan. You could have felt like, I always felt like the black sheep. I always felt like the different one. And this feeling of not belonging, drifting without an anchor, like no roots, because I don't really feel connected to either one of you. I don't feel connected to this family. And that means you were born into that karmic, I'd say, unfortunately, you were born into a karmic curse, because when you're born into that, automatically you feel not wanted. You may feel not good enough. And if you were an orphan, well, guess what? You didn't get shit. That's what it's saying. It's like, didn't feel connected. And this wound lives in the feeling of not belonging, drifting without an anchor, whether through abandonment, disconnection, or emotional exile. It can leave you longing for a place or a person that feels safe, steady, and truly yours. So not having it, and this is when you don't have it, well, it's again, you have a block heart chakra. And so attracting people a lot of times that, are not capable of emotionally giving to you is what usually will manifest from that, because already there's a feeling of not never having it, right? So if you've lived an experience, you've embodied that emotion, right? Yes. Well, it's the same as how you manifest. The thoughts that you think, the emotions that you have are what manifest. So when you've already embodied that feeling of not having anybody and not feeling loved, I mean, because really orphan, that's kind of make you feel like no one loves me, no one wants me. It is, then there's that energy of this, which is inner prosecutor, which is judging yourself before anyone else can, becomes a shield against external harm, inward, hoping it will hurt less if you deliver the blow. It can leave you feeling trapped in harsh inner dialogue, unstable access self companionship, or rest in your own enoughness. So it got obviously, like, if you felt like there was no, support, no love, no, then obscurity is always going to be your thing, which is people make me feel like I'm not worthy of it. People make me feel, well, the spirit says, well, then there's only one thing to do about that, and that's to step into it. And that's what you've decided to do, because you're like, that's the end of it. I can't deal with one-sided relationships. I can't deal with this karmic loop anymore of where I'm on the shit end and always connected to like someone that's trying to manipulate me, someone that uses my goodness for weakness, spirit says. So that's like where you are within your life, and what you need to do, spirit saying, is again, when you deal with anxiety, to do that healing exercise, because spirit saying otherwise what winds up happening is you wind up with people that tend to be not just not capable of emotionally giving you anything, but a lot of times impulsive. And that means they're sporadic. Like you never know what they're going to do when they're going to do it. And so when that obviously would make you not feel safe. So spirit saying this. So the way to become safe is to focus on your career, and that you'd actually be a great teacher. So I feel like some of you are coaches, some of you are supposed to teach something. Again, that could be any type of healing modality. It could be, again, an influencer. Like I was saying, it's a job that already is like a little different. So people tend to say, "Oh, you're a little bit different from other people." And when you're like, no, there's actually a whole fucking community out here. It's just you people are like thinking from the past. You people are like in the box, where you're not. Spirit says, so take the time out to rejuvenate. And it's again, because emotionally it's a lot. And it's about, again, cultivating more within, I believe water to me is that second chakra, and that's emotionally give you what you need right now. And that's rest, and that's focus on your teaching. Spirit says speaking. Some of you guys are going to go into speaking, and to travel, because you can't get better in the same place that made you sick. And understand, if someone's committed to being a certain way, you have to detach, and that means you have to give yourself the emotional support that the person can't. And so it's not going to be through running out and meeting someone else. Spirit says it's how do you fill yourself. And spirit says through your career you need money anyway, and you like what you do, but there may not be enough. You may say, I don't really see enough. I don't see how that's going to happen. Spirit says, yes, because too much time there on that person, cut it and get into your body. And that means if you're teaching, and maybe you're not that great of a speaker, or maybe you have a lot of anxiety around it. Again, a lot of times on our path to becoming ourselves, we have to heal certain blockages. It doesn't mean that it's automatic. Like there's a fallacy, like when we think, oh, well, if you're meant to do it, it just comes like natural. No, mastery comes in doing. It's the fact that we love something, we're passionate about something. So we show up and we continue to do it. And then the universe brings us what we need to become even better. So Spirit says, so I would join like a speaking thing again. Like that means Toastmasters. That might mean, hey, sharing what you do online, doing live streams. It's about being consistent because, again, your mind can't be in two places at one time. Once that person sees that you're giving yourself energy and feeding yourself, well, they can't emotionally manipulate you. They have to come in differently. And they know that because why are you going to emotionally detach from what emotionally is feeding you to be with someone that's not going to give you anything? You're demanding it. And if the person really has feelings for you, well, they're going to surrender. A lot of times they bank that they don't have to. And Spirit says this is about respect. And, traveling to different places allows you to see, do I really want like this? You meet different people. It forces you to be different. So you change through experience. You're not saying, I'm trying to change. No, you're walking a walk that's changing your mind and your heart about how you're viewing yourself and that person as you're growing and becoming yourself. So that is what you do when you surrender. You're surrendering because you're like, listen, you can do whatever the hell you want to do. It's like, but I'm over here doing what I want to do. And that puts this person's back up against the wall where they're like, I didn't expect that person to invest in themselves. Because then what happens is the path unfolds while you're on it. Because if you don't think that God is watching what this person's doing, you're wrong. It's a karmic test. So God's quiet when the test is going on. However, if you do what you need to do, well, Spirit says, are you going to go out and travel? I'm going to make sure that you meet other people and that you're going to have a great time. And this person's going to feel like a jerk because it's not that they didn't have feelings. It's that they wanted to control and manipulate. Where, again, and you felt like you were in a stronghold with somebody that wouldn't budge, that just kept doing the same shit over and over and over again. And you're like, yeah, who cares that they have feelings for me? That's what it looks like. And the Spirit says, unless you change. And that's about giving you. And that's why we did that tidbit before, because there is a little bit of that stronghold going on for some of you guys. Now, let's see what the hidden truths are. Let's see what they think. Let's see what they're going to do. Let's see, because we already know that you're going to focus on your business. Spirit says, well, this isn't to manipulate the person, but inquiring minds want to know. And it's also, you already know, like I said, what you have to do to shape shift the energy. We just talked about that. Because if this person's a jerk, you shouldn't make it easy for them. Let's see. I bury myself in work to forget you because I don't want to think about you. So, because I have feelings for you. But I don't want you to think that I have feelings for you. You speak to me through music, though. I have the radio on in the fucking background. Baby, come back. I was a fool. Everything reminds that person because it's not that they don't want to have the connection. I hid who I really am from you. So now they're like, now they're like, well, you know what? You didn't even know who I really was. So that's a double-edged sword. Like, first of all, you might have fallen in love with the facade of who they are. And now it's like, I'm not that person. So if I showed you that I, have all this money and I'm really stable, well, guess what? I'm really not. Or if I showed that I have this grandiose life, I really don't. And so that's number one, which is usually what happens when people don't like who they are. They overcompensate. They try to pretend that they're perfect. And there is no such thing as perfect. No one lives a perfect life. So again, when people like overcompensate in that. So I feel like this person so can I come back? What if you don't like who I am? That's number one. But then there's also, I never really gave this a chance. So you might like me. You know what I mean? So there's a little bit of that. I feel like you're connected to someone that's not emotional at all, but that's logical and is going to logic everything. That's what with that, it's like, who cares? You already know that you hid yourself. It's like, just go, like, contact the person. No, this person's still strategizing. I can't stop thinking about you, though. It's like, yeah, because you can't control love. Love is the strongest energy that there is. And guess what? You don't get to choose who you fall in love with. The universe brings you the person that is going to bring out the healing in you. And so this person does not want to be in their emotions at all. And they're like, but their brain is taking them down. Obsessive is what I see here. I wonder if you're happy without me. It's like, yeah, because I don't know what's going on. So, I did all this and now you're going to be happy without me. So I like, so would you even come back? Would you even talk to me? All we see here is a lot of sabotaging behavior, to be honest. I regret lying to you about who I was and the fact that I acted like I didn't care. That's what you see, that they sabotage the connection, and that's what they're seeing. I love you. You're like, and that's what it looks like. Spirit says, hurt people hurt people. It doesn't mean, it means that we need to go deeper and understand this connection, because what we see here is a lot of psychological reversals, which is, I have this feeling for you, but I'm going to do this. I have this feeling for you to do this. But it usually has absolutely nothing to do with you. It has to do with that person, what they've dealt with within their life, But it's triggering all your wounds, which we will look at. But we already saw that it already awakened those, like, I already feel like an orphan. I already feel like I'm not, like, that you don't give me anything. It's obscure. It's so little. Like, this person is like, I long to sweep you off your feet and shower you with my love. I'm trying to understand how the thoughts create my reality. I know I need to stay safe, to stay positive. Are you? So this person is, again, thinking. But at least they're thinking about, like, how am I contributing to, like, what's happening right now? And you'd be like, you created the whole thing, to be honest with you. I'm trying to leave my comfort zone with this issue. like they think that it's like an issue. It's an issue for them because it's requiring them to change. And so anything that they do is going to be out of their comfort zone. This person's used to emotionally not giving anything is what it looks like. I see you working to create change, and I'm proud of what I see that you're doing. And it's like, it's making them want to work on something with you, because they're like, wait a minute, like, you are so much more than, like, a face. I feel like this person hid who they were from you, so they never really, like, got that close. They perceived you as, yes, a good looking face, and I have that spiritual connection, but I don't really think that that's important, because emotionally, I'm emotionally handicapped. That's the person. And so, they didn't really feel it. And now it's like, but they're watching you, they're stalking you. And people don't realize it's how much time, energy, focus, and money you put into something. So even though this person's not talking to you, they're stalking you and they're watching you. And this is why they're falling in love with you, because they're like, wow, you cut your energy from them, and you don't need them. You don't need them. There's no expectation. There's no ownership. This person figured it out on their own, and they're like, I have, like, this person's like, I have, like, a lot of business smarts. I can contribute in your life somehow. It's like, I can see that this fell. So we have to take it. We project our patterns onto each other, and this makes it difficult to see what's real and what is fear-based thinking. So again, it is a past life karmic mate, where as this person is triggering the shit out of you, you are triggering the shit out of them. So you're kind of in a Mexican standstill, but this person is being forced to be like, because understand, they're the ones that created the problem. They're the ones that never gave you enough time. They showed you someone that they weren't. They lied and pretended that they didn't care. So at the end of the day, they're the ones that have to fix it. So it's almost like that's why it's triggering you, because you're like, you're acting like I did something. You're the one that did it. You're the one that needs to fix it. You're the one that needs, and this person knows it, but they're going to focus more on like, how could I help you? This person is not going to come back and be like, I'm so sorry. Like, they're not an emotional person. What they would do is, let me fix something. Let me buy you something. They're a doer. They're a logical person. And spirit saying neither one of you should listen to what other people like think to do about this relationship, because if it's a past life karmic mate, but this person is coming back and they actually want to show you who they are, and you still have feelings for them and they're transparent with you, you should make your own decision. Don't cut your nose off to spite your face. Spirit says don't listen to any other person. They need to also not listen to other people about what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Which, by the way, when people get triggered, what do? They talk to their friends. They talk to other people, and it's usually like, this person makes me feel XYZ. You're telling that story from your perspective, and you don't know why they're doing what they're doing. So, of course, that your best friend's going to say, that person's an asshole. They should fry. You know what I mean? Like, where is that really going to help you? Or then you wonder why your friends don't like this person, or why there's now this rift, because there's too much of that. And so understand, this person is not happy, and it's because karmic behaviors, maybe it's people or situations, are playing a role in what's happening with them, and it's really hard for them to see their way out of their situation. So I feel like this connection is making this person change, so their behaviorisms is what I feel like is what has gotten them into a bit of trouble. We'll look at some of those behaviorisms, but I want to see what else. I watch you on social media, and the internet is my way of staying close. I already told you this. It's like, I know I need to release attachments with karmic people. Creating a plan. So again, this person, when you met them, like, again, they might have said that they were getting out of a connection. They might be out of a connection, but they're codependent, and they're codependent. They feel bad, I feel like, to let that person know. And, is what I feel. It's like they, in their mind, they're single. However, they know that they're not going to be with you if they have that person. It's like they have to let that person go, at this point. This person, like, again, at this point, they don't really know what to do. Please send me energetic support. Use the frequency of love to uplift me, because I need your help. This person, I feel like, is going through a shitstorm. To be honest with you, I feel like, hey, they're in a bad situation. They, karmic person, which only because maybe they own things together at this point, not really any type of love. And this person pretended to be someone else with you. So this is another reason why they have a hard time of coming back, and that's why they're like, if you just show me a sign, like the energetic support is kind of like, show me a sign, because I don't really know what I can do. But this person, I feel like, now in a heartbeat, if they knew that you would take them back, they would be out of there in a second. The truth is that when they were dealing with you, they, again, were living a lie. Again, they showed you a life that they wanted to live, not really the life that they live. And that this connection for them is really scary, because the feelings that they have are so overwhelming that they become afraid, and so they run away. So it's not just because of their life. It's like this connection. You got to realize this person stayed in a connection or was stayed tied to someone that they don't love, that, you know, that they don't really want to be a part of. And so they lived kind of detached, kind of emotionally dead. And so for them to actually have to feel this connection, well, then they have to look at all that shit that they've, pretend isn't there. They have to say, well, what am I going to do with this? It's like, do I, they have to make a decision. As long as they're not cut off from their emotions and they, project everything, they don't have to do it. But projecting is a side of that. And understand, Spirit says, past lives are influencing their connection with you. They've lost you in other lifetimes, and that makes them really afraid of losing you again because they already know this connection. They're like, I know what this connection is. It's like, and this connection is making this person look at all their bullshit, and there's a lot of it. And so they have to get rid of people, change situations and experiences and habits and everything with inside of them. And this is why it's a past life karmic mate. And that's, again, they say, I'm going to lose you. I'm going to lose you because what it is this person cut themselves off from you. They're the person that pretended to be someone that they're not. They're the person that hid it. They have to come back. But they're saying, I have to kind of fix my life before I come back. And that's terrifying to this person. But because of you, they're starting to see what's really important in life. And Spirit says, you know what you need to do? You need to clear the illusions of the 3D world. Don't take everything at face value. There's a lot more going on spiritually and energetically than you can see, which again is everything inside of this person that's saying, I really have feelings for you. Look at my life. I'm not happy with my life. It's like I'm living for somebody else to make someone else comfortable. I'm not displaying, like, this person is kind of like, again, been so left brained. Again, Spirit says, I've been so grounded, which is left brain to me, but like survival for so long, it's hard for them to trust the spiritual element of the connection, but they don't deny that it exists. And so the whole point is that you both incarnated together to clear specific patterns from your ancestral bloodline, which is why these wounds are so freaking hard. Because, hey, you both formed, again, these habits and behaviorisms in childhood due to living in the same type of environment. However, the way that you deal with it is not the same way. You felt like an orphan, and this person makes you feel like an orphan because they run from their emotions. They're emotionally not available, which is why Spirit said, you want to be in a relationship with this person, you better learn how to surrender. And because otherwise it won't work. And it's, again, because they project their own fears and limitations onto you. So you need to go within to understand that you are not seeing yourself. Like when this person does this has nothing to do with you. It has to do with them, their projection onto you. It's their fear. You can't do anything about that. You can't talk about it because they're going to resist you. You can't be nice to them, want to heal them. You can't do that. Spirit says you need to focus on your career. You need to put your energy in there because understand this is what happens. But as you heal yourself and move, understand Spirit says they're going to contact you when they're able to. They're not able to right now because they're in that situation. They're connected. They need to change their life around. They're doing that, but they're going to contact you when they are ready. And that right now their life is too complicated, and it's going to be complicated because, well, getting out of whatever they're in and rebuilding their life into their own life and not living a facade of a life so that they could actually be in a relationship. Because what they're saying is whether it's you or somebody else, it might be too late for you, but this person doesn't want to live the way that they've been living. And Spirit says at the end of the day, that's what karmic mates do. They come into people's life to to push it up and to really teach what unconditional love is. It's not that this person doesn't have love. They're just not able to right now. And that's because of everything that's going on. And Spirit says, remember, soulmates come back together when they're supposed to come back together. But until then, you're supposed to be traveling. You're supposed to be meeting different people. You're supposed to be living your life so that when this person does come back, you don't feel like you were sitting there waiting and you're resentful and you're like, well, you didn't give to me. Spirit says, you're the orphan. You're the one that needs to give to yourself. It's like that's how you reparent the orphan. It's that you give to yourself and then you're going to meet people because you get the family that you're born into, and then there's a family that you make. And Spirit says, so this is not about waiting for this person. It's not about changing this person. It's about more or less saying thank you for what I needed to see and do what you need to do for yourself to integrate those spiritual lessons and see whether this person does. Because if and when the connection comes back together, you're going to see whether you want them or not, because you're like not the same person anymore. And that person's not the same person anymore. But you didn't feel gypped, like sitting there waiting for them either. It's like, oh, you did all this. And the Spirit's saying, no, this is about you still growing and understanding why did you attract this person into your life. We understand what, but we also need to understand what was the traumas that happened to make you feel what you feel, and how to transmute the negative energy. So Spirit's saying, all right, well, neglect, unworthy, trauma, love, gifts, misunderstanding, and the last one is outdoors and nature. So to me, it's, again, obviously, if you felt like an orphan, well, then you felt unworthy, you were neglected. And again, that was major trauma to the point that you didn't get any love. And so you were always with Spirit. So that means, kids can't deal with that. They detach, they disassociate. It means that they're in daydream land, because that trauma of not feeling loved is, you're actually feeling bad about yourself all the time. That's the message. If you're brought up with people that you just don't connect to and they're not giving you that love, and I say that because outdoors and nature to me represents source, but it also represents a lack of being grounded. Right? So if we're not grounded, we're not present, we're not in the moment, we're in daydream land because, hey, that trauma was severe where I just didn't feel like I belonged to the family and they didn't love me, they didn't nurture me, they treated me badly. And so I felt like it was misunderstood. I felt like, again, the things that I needed were shown as if they were so big, when again made me feel as if I was misunderstood and I didn't belong. And that is major trauma for a child. They need to feel loved, they need to feel supported. Otherwise, that type of trauma, they're going to detach and go up into their brain. So Spirit says, again, unfortunately, that becomes a second chakra imbalance. And the second chakra is I feel like there's something wrong with me because of my environment, how other people make me feel about me. And I've always felt that way, meaning you were born into that. So Spirit says it's not about controlling people and making them be different. You can't. You can only control yourself. So again, we release. So Spirit says, let go of the need to control things and trust in the flow. Surrender to the process. And that's how we form spiritual equilibrium. I said that in the beginning of the reading. We're saying it at the end of the reading. And then align with your true heart's desire, not a person. Even though there's a person on this, Spirit says, if you want this person, you have to align, yourself with the things that you're passionate about, that you fill yourself up with love, that you fill your cup up with love, and you follow your passion for life. then understand it's not that that person doesn't represent passion, that they do, but you're making them hold to a standard, meaning you don't give it to me, it doesn't matter, you'll be replaced within 24 hours or less. Trust me, because I'm out and about and I'm meeting new people. I'm not, you can do whatever you want. I surrender to your process, but this is my process and I'm following my passion and understand it. You and you command that, you wind up being the muse, the inspiration for that person, because clearly they didn't have one. The spirit says this is about you learning how to flow with grace, that we can't change difficult situations. We go with the flow of life through the passion for life, meaning my focus isn't on you. It's on where I'm going, what I'm doing, what I'm passionate about. You don't have that much power over me. I'm not gonna tell you either. You're gonna notice it in my actions. Again, so you navigate difficulties with calm and acceptance, and you can be at peace with yourself, which is what this is about, how you relinquish control. Because a person doesn't want you to be at peace with yourself. They want you stuck ruminating into, again, that war within yourself. And so Spirit says it doesn't need to be. Spirit says this about you transforming, turning the fears into strength. So how? Because you're walking into your true life. Without this person will catch up, but they wouldn't have a direction of where to run if it wasn't for you. Understand that. It's like by you becoming yourself, you're not just transforming your fears into strengths, you're making that person does. And you're living authentically and boldly, unafraid to be yourself, which is, again, no, you will not tell me how I live. Baby don't need to go in the corner. Baby is going out into the world, whether you like it or not. And, and I'm true to myself. So, a lot of times they don't like that because of their own wounds. And Spirit says, and that's the toughest shit, because at the end of the day, they're going to surrender to that process because love makes you do that. I'm like, well, what can I do? If I want to be with this person, I have to accept the way that they are. I have to accept that they're their own person. I cannot manipulate. I need to actually step into the best energy. Again, after all, I've already lost this person in so many fucking lifetimes. Again, past life karmic mate where it showed up. I've lost you in other lifetimes. So are you going to get it right this time? Yeah, it looks like they are. But Spirit says that doesn't mean that you're not supposed to stop living. It's like you're supposed to live, because when this person comes back, they have to learn how to open up their heart. They're coming back and they think that their heart is open. Their heart is not open. When you force them to open their heart, they will. And that's just because you're not going to be the same person. You're not going to be that accommodating. They're not getting the same version of you. And it's, again, they made you into a better version of you. And that is why this relationship was profound, because you're like, I know what I'm dealing with. And because I know what I'm dealing with you this way. And it's like, and Spirit says, so this person surrenders. And it's all because you don't care. You're like, again, and that teaches this person, like, wow, I want to live that way. Because really what you're living is freedom. You're free. That's what it is. It's on your terms. It's authentic. It's real. And it teaches this person how to be authentic and real because they haven't been. And not because of you, but that's what makes it worse. It's like, I actually have feelings, but I can't even come back now, because you'd be like, what fucking life is this? You live in a apartment with a mattress on the floor. Where's the pool? Where is the jacuzzi? Where is the life, the grandioso life? You sold me a Mustang, but really it's a Pinto. What the fuck? What? That has 3 tires. Like, it's not. And Spirit says, yes, they have to. They're going to work themselves up to, the Camaro level. They're going to work themselves up to the sports car level. It's, again, but you're the one that's making them do that. They don't know how to do it. Spirit says that's why I do it that way. So it's all about teaching you both that is one step at a time, that you see the mountains ahead and you dedicate yourself to taking one small step at a time, that you make progress by staying focused and being in the moment, being present, because only in the now do you get divine guidance. And that the current task, again, turns into another one, and that you regain your life with ease is what Spirit's saying. It's again being present and about you right now shining your light, that your desire to improve yourself, transform fears into strength, that you raise your thoughts above doubt, and you find faith in the goodness of the universe, that you love and accept yourself as a soul, and you discover the light that dwells within you. That's what you're supposed to be doing now, because you are finding that. Because if you were living that before, you wouldn't have dealt with this person at all. It's like when you find the light that dwells within you, well, that light shines and it brings so many different people and opportunities, and you're having a love affair with life, and that's what you're supposed to do. God says me first, and that's through you first, because your body is just the temple for me to live in. So when you invest in you and become you, you're like, it doesn't matter how anyone in the environment treats you, because you're whole. And so I'm going to leave that there. Let me know how you resonated, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye bye.